Well, good evening, everybody. We've got a lot of fortuitous events occurring, specifically in the Middle East, and I just wanted to cover some of the highlights with you to kind of explain to you what's going on and to give you my thoughts. So, I saw some other YouTubers posting these very dramatic YouTube titles stating that US stocks are collapsing, they're absolutely imploding because there's a potential, remote as it may be, of World War III taking place. Well, first of all, stocks, at least for now in the pre market, are not collapsing. The Dow's down 0.32%, S&P 500 is down 3.34%, and the Nasdaq, of course, because it's more volatile, is down 0.44%. I wouldn't necessarily call that a collapse, okay? Now, typically, from what I hear, when there's a lot of concerns in the world, everybody floods back into the US dollar. It's one of the ironies of America being the global reserve currency is we can cause economic problems around the globe. Think to the financial crisis with the housing implosion. And when people get scared, what they do is they rush into the dollar, which is seen as a safe haven. So you'd expect, even if there was a global catastrophe, if there was a global conflict, I don't think that would necessarily hurt US stocks that badly. Number one, it's a safe haven. Number two, America has these two beautiful big oceans. You got the Pacific and you got the Atlantic. And it's really, really hard for the bad guys to come and get us. Our main bad guys are China, which is more focused regionally. They're never going to invade America. We have Russia, which is tied down in Ukraine. And then we have Iran, which can't even stop Israeli and American stealth fighters from destroying their refineries, their nuclear refineries. And then we have North Korea, which is ruled by a fat clown, which I think one of their nukes might be able to reach the United States, but I don't think North Korea would be a huge threat to America. They are a threat to South Korea, which is one of our allies. But if you think about America's enemies, America's kind of protected if there's a global war, just like in the last two. World War I, America joined in, 1917, suffered almost no damage, sent a bunch of troops at the end, and helped finish off the war. World War II, the Japanese attacked Pearl Harbor, then Germany declared war, and we sent soldiers both to Europe and to retake all the Pacific Islands from the Japanese. But America itself was unharmed, and that actually helped American prosperity because the rest of the world was destroyed in World War II. Half of it fell under communism, and America kind of stood alone as the sole Western superpower because it wasn't damaged and because it's insulated by the oceans. So even if we get to the point where we enter World War III, which I don't see it right now. I don't necessarily see that right now. Even if we did get to that point, I don't see a reason to sell your stocks, especially your US stocks. And most of your investments, even if you're in VT, okay, China would be probably wiped out. That'd probably be a zero. But most of VT is in America, 60%. And a huge chunk of that's left is in Europe, which I don't think will really participate that much and would curb stomp Russia. And then you have a little bit in Japan, South Korea. So South Korea might be a zero in World War III. Japan, not necessary. I think they'd be fine overall. So really, if you look at the long run, there's not that much of a risk. Now, the risks are more in the short term, which I guess we'll cover in a little bit. But the Middle East is all about oil. Okay, we all know that. And there's this thing called the Strait of Hormuz or however they freaking say it. And a good percentage of the world's oil supply comes through the Strait of Hormuz. Unfortunately, Iran is able to choke it off if they wanted to, or at least they're going to try to, potentially. And if that happens, that could cause a temporary spike in oil prices. We'll go look at oil prices in a second. And if there's a spike in oil prices, that slows down the economy, that triggers inflation, and there would be some temporary issues there. But America's also energy independent, okay? America's got oil for days. And our closest kind of ally now, because we pissed them off a little bit, is Canada, which has a ton of oil as well. I think it's called shale oil. I don't think there's really a lot of risk here of the stock market collapsing. Even if World War III started, you'd probably see a sell-off, but I don't think that would be the end of the world. So stocks are crashing. Okay, we got the NASDAQ. Now it's down 0.46%. I think the market's kind of pricing in that there's a little bit of risk here, but it's not that significant. And of course, America is the global safe haven. In times of stress, everybody runs to America, and that would probably boost U.S. assets and reduce U.S. borrowing costs. Okay, so here's your collapse right here, people. Let's go look at U.S. interest rates. So you can look at Treasury yields. This is the current yield, not the coupon, but the yield, the actual cost of the yield to maturity, basically, of U.S. government debt. And we actually see a slight decrease. So the 10-year is now at 4.38%. It got up to, I think it went up to like almost 5 not too long ago. And if this thing heats up, those yields will probably come down, which allows America to borrow more money to win the war. So yields aren't really going crazy. I suspect they'd probably go down if money was flooding into the United States. You'd expect the dollar to get stronger. Let's look at DXY if it actually pops up. It actually loads. Okay, DXY is up a little bit. Nothing crazy. Let's go look at crude oil. So, of course, this will have an impact on crude oil. So this is the 5-year chart. Let's look at the 1-year chart. So a year ago, oil was trading at $81 a barrel, basically. Now it's $73 a barrel. But we have seen kind of like a market reaction. We've seen the price of oil start to shoot up, from the lows this year of 57, which that's crazy low, all the way to 73. So the market for oil is obviously reacting a little bit. It's pricing in the risk of this conflict and the potential, shut off of a portion of the world's oil supply. But like I said, it would make oil more expensive, but there would still be oil. It would have some negative economic impacts and would probably prolong inflation a little bit, but it's not like this catastrophic end of the world. Now, back in the day, in the 70s, when we had the Iranian oil crisis or whatever it was, and OPEC, we had an OPEC crisis for whatever reason. I forgot why. Yeah, that had a much bigger impact on America. But America now is pretty solid when it comes to energy independence, in just my humble opinion. So the market, obviously, it's pretty smart. The market's not stupid. And I think it's pricing in that this is not a big risk. Okay, the S&P 500 is literally hovering around 6,000. That's pretty good. Okay, Daddy here is doing pretty good as well. And then, of course, you have natural gas. I think these are natural gas futures. Okay, for the past year, it's still down 3.95%. Now, let's see what Trump had to say. And then we're going to read this article about how much the Strait of Hormuz could potentially impact the global economy and America in particular. But let's watch Trump's announcement for the Iran attack, because I thought it was pretty funny.
The U.S. military carried out massive precision strikes on the 3 key nuclear facilities in the Iranian regime: Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. Everybody heard those names for years as they built this horribly destructive enterprise. Our objective was the destruction of Iran's nuclear enrichment capacity and a stop to the nuclear threat posed by the world's #1 state sponsor of terror. Tonight, I can report.
And that's actually true, or at least they're close to it. So Iran, they use a bunch of like Shia militias and networks spread across the Middle East to kind of implement their will. I believe they support Hezbollah, they support Hamas, they support the Houthis, basically anybody that we're kind of like hostile to, they're supported by Iran. And I never personally went to Iraq. I went to Afghanistan when I was deployed. But in Iraq, Iran was actually supporting Shia militias in the country fighting against the U.S. forces that were occupying the country. So U.S. soldiers were killed with the help of Iran. That is a fact. So they're pretty involved in the Middle East. Okay. And we're basically in a proxy war with Iran. And this is a slight escalation because they had that, it sounds like they had a nuclear test. There was an earthquake registered in Iran, an underground earthquake. I wonder if that could have been a potential nuclear test. And if Iran gets nukes, that could start a war that we really don't want to see happen. Okay? The Iranians could potentially use nuclear weapons. Their first target would probably be Israel, would be my humble opinion. They have other enemies in the area, Saudi Arabia, etc. But they'd probably go after Israel. That'd be their number one target. And Israel also has nukes. So if Israel feels threatened, I think they would completely glass Iran. And that would not be good. So we could see Israel potentially losing a major city. And we could see all of Iran basically destroyed by Israel. That would be a big problem. So we actually kind of stopped that in advance. We preempted that possibility by these strikes. And no Americans died, to my understanding. Seems like a pretty clean victory. This is not an invasion of Afghanistan and Iraq.
Report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and
Okay, I wouldn't call Iran the bully of the Middle East. It's our enemy. It's our adversary. There's plenty of regional powers that are all vying for dominance and control. You got Saudi Arabia. You got Iran, which basically kind of owns Iraq. You got the Turks. You got the Israelis. You got Egypt down there. There's a bunch of regional players all involved in the Middle East. And it's just a war for dominance. That's what people do. That's what humans do. Nations fight each other for dominance, okay? Is Iran our adversary? Yes. Would I call them the bully of the Middle East? No. And I actually think what Israel's doing is kind of not good in Gaza, in my humble opinion. It starts with the G word, and it's ironic because the Israelis always claim that they were the targets of the G word, which they were in Europe in the 30s and 40s, and now they're doing the same thing in the Middle East. Just my opinion.
a lot easier. For 40 years, Iran has been saying death to America, death to Israel. They have been killing our people, blowing off their arms, blowing off their legs with roadside bombs. That was their specialty. We lost over 1,000 people, and hundreds of thousands throughout the Middle East and around the world have died as a direct result of their hate. In particular, so many were killed by their general, Qasem Soleimani.
So that is true, but the reason the U.S. soldiers were there in the first place was because we suspected Iraq had WMDs. And I think we all kind of know now that the whole premise of the Iraqi war was nonsense. And Iraq was actually a nice check and balance against Iran. The Iraqis and the Iranians don't like each other. Well, some of them don't. Iraq used to be ruled by a Sunni, which is a sect of Islam, minority. That was Saddam and his party, the Ba'ath Party or whatever. They were Sunnis, but Iraq is majority Shia. That's a different sect of Islam. Iran is also Shia. So what we did is we invaded Iraq. We toppled the Sunni minority government. We liberated the Shias, and we started a massive war between the Sunnis and Shias, and Iran came in and supported the Shias. And when we fought Shia militias, Iran actively supported them. And they actually were pretty good at developing improvised explosive devices, which are known as IEDs. And those things were terrifying. Okay. Like, you're just driving down a road and boom, one of them goes off. Now, when I was in Afghanistan, we did encounter a couple of them, But funny enough, what we did is we hired these former Taliban dudes. We called them CMRG. And we'd put them in the front of our convoys, and it was their job to find IEDs. So worst case scenario, they would trigger it first. Best case scenario, they would find the IEDs and detonate them before they could harm U.S. soldiers. And they actually did. We went on a patrol one time. This was in eastern Afghanistan. They actually did find one and blow it up. Thankfully, because the first couple times I went on patrol, I was in the lead vehicle and I was crapping my pants. And I was very happy that the Afghan dudes were in front and they were able to find IEDs and explode them. So, but it's a fact that Iran did heavily support Shia Iraqi militias and obviously had special operations units in Iraq. And we caused that. If we hadn't invaded Iraq, it probably still would have been ruled by the Ba'ath Party with Saddam Hussein or one of his sons. And we wouldn't have basically Iraq serving as a proxy state of Iran, which is basically what it is. Iran has massive influence in Iraq, and they have massive support.
I decided a long time ago that I would not let this happen. It will not continue. I want to thank and congratulate Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu. We worked as a team like perhaps no team has ever worked before. And we've gone a long way to erasing this horrible threat to Israel. I want to thank the Israeli military for the wonderful job they've done. And most importantly, I want to congratulate the great American patriots who flew those magnificent machines tonight, and all of the United States military on an operation the likes of which the world has not seen in many, many decades.
I mean, I guess that's kind of an exaggeration. That's what he does, but it seems like a pretty successful operation to me. It only cost America, I don't know, maybe a couple $1 million. I don't know how much the bunker busters cost, but we sent some pilots. They flew across the world. They dropped some ordnance on 3 nuclear sites. Seems like nobody was killed, and then they flew home. Oh, no, it's World War III. Oh, I don't think so. Now, I don't think Iran can win. They can't. I don't see how they can't stop the U.S. and Israel from bombing them. And there is no way in heck we're putting boots on the ground in Iran. We would get slaughtered. And I think Trump's generals understand that. And the best way to go forward is to fund Israel, because they can put their boots on the ground and fight for us. We got the help of the Saudis. They don't really like the Iranians either. And we can just pay them, and then we could use bombers from aircraft carriers or from bases around the globe to hit any targets to support them. We're not going to have boots on the ground. It's not going to happen. If there are boots on the ground, it's going to be like some Delta Force dudes somewhere. Okay, we're not going to invade Iran. There's no way. We can't afford it. When we invaded Iraq and Afghanistan, we had much less government debt. Much less government debt. And because of the wars and the crises that we've had and then the pandemic, the debt has ballooned to a huge percentage of GDP. We really can't afford to do that, to launch an invasion of Iran. And I remember I saw the Tucker Carlson and Ted Cruz interview, and Tucker Carlson called out Ted Cruz because he didn't know the population of Iran. I think he said it was like 91 million or something. There is no way the U.S. can occupy a country of 91 million people. It ain't going to freaking happen. And there's a lot more, I think there's a lot more negative sentiment towards America in Iran. It's not going to happen. I highly doubt we're going to invade Iran. And I highly doubt there's going to be World War III. Okay? That's just my humble opinion. We'll see what happens. Let's keep watching.
Hopefully, we will no longer need their services in this capacity. I hope that's so. I also want to congratulate the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General Dan Raisin Kane, spectacular general, and all of the brilliant military minds involved in this attack. With all of that being said, this cannot continue. There will be either peace or there will be tragedy for Iran far greater than we have witnessed over the last 8 days.
And America could do that too. I mean, that's one thing we got going for us is a massive military with the best technology in the world. Obviously, because we were able to fly stealth bombers and blow up their nuclear facilities, and they inflicted 0 casualties on us. We would utterly crush them. We could just bombard them into oblivion continuously until they capitulate. Iran's not going to win. Just a fact. They're going to eventually bow out gracefully. I think. We'll see.
Remember, there are many targets left. Tonight's was the most difficult of them all, by far, and perhaps the most lethal. But if peace does not come quickly, we will go after those other targets with precision, speed, and skill. Most of them can be taken out in a matter of minutes. There's no military in the world that could have done what we did tonight, not even close.
That's true. That they've already drawn out all the plans. They know exactly where all of Iran's critical infrastructure is. All they got to do is pull the trigger, and they'll bomb it all, and it'll be gone. And Iran will freaking lose. Of course, these Discord clowns are messaging me.
There's never been a military that could do what took place just a little while ago. Tomorrow, General Kane, Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth will have a press conference at 8 a.m. at the Pentagon. And I want to just thank everybody, and in particular, God. I want to just say we love you, God, and we love our great military. Protect
these clowns. I love you, God. I love the military. Okay.
them. God bless the Middle East. God bless Israel, and God bless America. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So I guess, look, America bombs everything. We bomb everything. We bomb the Houthis. There's always bombs dropping around the world because of America. I think it's hilarious that a lot of people think this is the start of World War III. And the real threat for World War III is not Iran. Iran is a pushover. Russia is kind of a joke. If there's going to be World War III, it's going to be because China and America go head to head. That would be the trigger of World War III. China's the big daddy. That's our enemy. It's not Russia. And it's not Iran. This is not World War III. Now, if China starts mobilizing their navy and their invasion forces, and they start getting ready to seize Taiwan, and they start coordinating with their buddies, okay, yes, we may be entering World War III. I don't think we're there, okay? And this was not done on the behest of Israel. This was not Israel. Israel did not order America to bomb these sites. It's a pretty logical decision to stop Iran from getting nuclear weapons. They have chanted death to America. They don't like America. They will definitely use nuclear weapons against America. And, well, Israel first, but they would potentially use them against America if they could. And it was really no sweat off of our backs. So, we got this article here, and this is the other fear. The Strait of Hormuz. Oh, my God. So apparently Iran's parliament pushed the nation to close the Strait of Hormuz, but left the final decision to choke off the key waterway to Iran's Supreme National Security Council. Now, there's a lot of countries that depend on the Strait of Hormuz. I don't think America's really that dependent on it. I have a suspicion that other countries in the region, like China, get a lot more oil from the Strait of Hormuz than the United States does. And I don't think that would be in China's interest either to have the Strait of Hormuz cut off. They probably wouldn't be happy about that, okay? So I bet you China has some skin in the game too, and they're not going to want that to happen. And I think this is Iran's nuclear option to cut off the Strait of Hormuz. And if they did that, they would be bombed into oblivion, and they would capitulate. We'll see if they do it. We'll see. But it's not going to be the end of America. Trust me. We'll keep reading. So Vice President J.D. Vance shot back Sunday that such an action would be self-deletion sensational for Iran as their entire economy runs through the Strait of Hormuz. Yeah, and Iran's economy ain't that great. Okay, America's economy would be just fine. Yet the Islamic Republic appears to be a step closer to the unprecedented action that would spike oil prices around the world, with about 20% of global oil and gas flowing through the narrow passageway. But like I said, America has a ton of capacity. Canada has a lot of capacity. America could fight this to the end, and Iran would capitulate a lot faster than the United States would in a battle of wills. And of course, Israel would be just fine because we'd supply Israel with whatever they needed. I think they'll be fine too. It was just one front, and perhaps one with the greatest economic consequences, after President Trump ordered an attack on 3 of Iran's nuclear sites and drew the U.S. into the ongoing war. Okay, so they're saying that they drew America into the war. America has always been at war with Iran. It's called a proxy war. If I'm supplying the people that are fighting you, we're in a war. Okay, it's not direct, but we're in the war. The fact that we drop some bombs is not this massive, it's unprecedented. It's unprecedented. Oh my God. Come on. We've been at war with Iran, and everybody freaking knows it for a long, long time. Some experts are skeptical Iran will ever follow through, especially me, expert strongman personal finance. As the country has threatened the strait multiple times over the years, but historically opted for less disruptive measures. Yeah, that's the nuclear option. In comments on Saturday, Trump described the move as a means to bring Iran to the negotiating table. And they will come. Give them time. America's daddy. America's big daddy. Iran's a little chump. But he immediately set off fears of additional violence and retaliation in the days ahead. Yeah, okay. And what's the worst violence that could happen to America? There might be some attacks. There might be sleeper cells in America. That's not going to bring the country to its knees. Even the 9/11 attacks, they were bad, but they didn't end America. And I don't think Iran has that capability. And if they did, America's not going to give up. That would actually rally America against Iran even stronger. Just saying. Look at Trump here with JD, Marco Rubio, and old Petey Boy. They had to drag Petey Boy out of the bar. For their part, Iranian leaders say any talks are on hold, but haven't outlined exactly how they are going to respond. What are we going to do? We're going to saber rattle. The U.S. is not diplomatic and only understands the language of force and threats, said the Iranian foreign minister, the country's semi-official. Well, yeah, I mean, if you have a powerful military, you're going to use it. Okay, that's pretty common theme around the globe and with human history. Archie also repeatedly avoided directly commenting on the strait, saying a variety of options are available to Iran. The action also comes after Iranian General Mohsen Rezai, an Iranian leader who has a seat on the decision-making Supreme Council, said on state TV before the attack that the country would move to close the strait if Trump entered the war. Economists will be closely watching the strait because of global economic repercussions that would almost surely follow any disruptions there. Okay, so worst case, the stock market sells off. Even if we do go to a big war with Iran, which we're not going to put boots on the ground, okay, the stock market may sell off for a couple months. Worst case. Oh my God, my stoinks went down for a couple months. I'm not selling them for 30 years. I don't care. We've been through worse crises with oil in the Middle East before this. Analysts at JP Morgan, which, by the way, all analysts are clowns. You should all work in accounting, get a real job, have called a blockage there a worst-case scenario and suggested the result would be global oil prices reaching $120 a barrel and pushing inflation into the U.S. to 5%. Okay, you know, back in the day, inflation was much higher than that. And not too long ago, it was much higher than that. And then here's what would happen. Inflation would go up. The war would eventually end. The strait would be back open. And inflation would eventually come down. So here's the Strait of Hormuz right here. And obviously you can see that a lot of oil is going to be flowing through there. But as Bloomberg energy columnist Javier Blas reemphasized, it benefits Iran to use low-ranking officials to talk about closing Hormuz because it sows instability, but it would actually damage Iran to follow through. America would be just fine. Indeed, closing the strait would be felt in Iran's own oil sector and cut off a key revenue source for the country's leaders. So they don't have nukes. Their military is not even close to America's. A big part of their economy is oil. They're not going to win. Iran uses the waterway for its own energy exports, which total over 1.3 million barrels of oil a day. As Noam Raidan, who studies energy, put in Yahoo Finance, if it's oil production and terminals that are badly damaged, we can then seriously consider the possibility of Tehran shutting the strait. Okay, so America should just not bomb their oil facilities. There you go. So it looks like Israel struck one oil refinery. But yeah, I mean, like America and Israel are not going to blow up a lot of their oil refineries because that would hurt them a little bit too. And that would hurt the rest of the world. They're going to target critical military infrastructure. Maybe they'll hit some power grids. They'll target nuclear sites, obviously. But I don't think they're going to damage the oil refineries. Most Iranian oil flows to China. Wow. I'm sure China's going to love that. But closing the Strait of Hormuz would jeopardize a wider array of oil and natural gas sources with Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Iraq, and many others using that waterway. The overall landscape has led the Trump administration to express tempered confidence Sunday that the Strait of Hormuz option is one that won't be taken. I tend to agree. If they want to destroy their own economy and cause disruptions in the world, I think that would be their decision, Vance acknowledged. But why would they do that? I don't think it makes any sense. And then Marco Rubio, little Marco, chimes in that closing the strait would be another terrible mistake and we retain options to deal with that. Yes. Okay, everything's going to be fine, people. Relax. All right, let's do some comments. Oh, got a $50 super chat here. I'm glad I did this video. All right. Thank you, Bumpsmaker. I apologize for the quality. I can't use my mouse and also plug in my good camera. So thank you for a $49.99 super chat. You say Christians are pro-Israel on religious grounds. You think that same applies to Palestinian Christians who make up 15% of the population and have been butchered in Gaza. Pull your head out of your butt and stick to the financial analysis. You don't think that part of America's support of Israel is because of religious ties? Seriously, you really think that? Now, I'm sure there's Palestinian Christians, and I'm sure they're not happy about it. But American Christians don't care. American Christians fully support Israel. I was raised as a Christian. All we did was Israel and Jews and yeah. There's huge religious ties between Christians and Jews. Jesus was a Jew. Half of the book is the Old Testament. Half of the Bible is the Old freaking Testament, which the Jews also use. Like, of course there's religious ties. That's why there's such fervent support for Israel. You notice all the really religious Americans, which there's a lot of religion in America, especially in the Bible Belt, fully support Israel. There's a reason for that. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean what they're doing is good. I don't support what they're doing. I think what they're doing is bad in Gaza. I think it is the G word. And it's very hypocritical. And the Israelis are not always good actors. But people don't think like that. Especially religious people, they're going to side with Israel every single time because of religion. That's part of it. It's also helpful to have a very staunch ally in the Middle East. Okay, we've had a lot of trouble in the Middle East. We've had a lot of problems in the Middle East. Israel is a very strong ally. It's nice to have a very powerful ally in the Middle East, of which Israel is one of them. So there's a religious component, and then there's a strategic component. And you put those two together, no wonder we give Israel billions and billions of dollars. Shocker. Oh, Israel's got us bought and paid for. It's more complex than that, people. Woo! This guy's dropping bombs tonight. You are the man. Thank you, Bum Spank. I appreciate that. Woo! I don't know. Thank you very much, good sir. Email me if you want me to do a video for you. As long as it's not like 2 hours of reacting. I owe you. Yeah, he's definitely a pay pig now. Tell that to the Palestinian Christians. They beg to disagree. No, obviously, like I said, I don't like. I'm not religious. I don't support Israel on religious grounds, but I can see why America does it, and I can see why a lot of religious Americans support Israel. Obviously, if you don't think there's a tie between Christianity and Israel and Judaism, you're crazy. Of course, there's a tie to it. War is the only solution to the problem known as God. The joke of existence is that you are your own God. I personally am not religious, and I have a very secular view of the world and how I shape my morality. But a lot of people don't think that way. A lot of people just have the divine spark. I never had it, ever. I never was religious. Just never was. But I was raised in it, and I definitely remember a lot of mentions and referrals to Israel and the Jews. And a big part of the Bible is the story of the Jews. I wonder why Christians support the Jews. All right. Thank you all for the super chats. It was very nice of you. Oh my God, we're all poor now. Oh yeah, we're so cooked. The stock market's down like a normal amount for a typical day. Negative 0.3% on the index means negative 49% on individual stocks. There's nothing to panic about. I would be more panicked if there was a war with China. That would be serious. This is not as serious. Watch me eat my words. But so far, I don't think that it's going to be that big of a deal. Long run. Never been so bullish on America. Buying out international stocks is absolutely insane. I know that Iran exposure probably isn't doing that well now, is it? The Israeli stock market. Really? Is that true? I mean, I believe it. Let's see. Israel ETF. It's called EIS. EIS ETF. The Israeli. Okay, so year to date, the Israeli ETF is up 14%. Over the past year, the Israeli ETF is up 46%. And over the past 5 years, it's up 69%. So unless the dividends are high, I don't think it has outperformed the SPY. But if it does have a high dividend yield, then that's very possible. So Israeli stocks, bro. If you had bought the October dip, you'd be fine. I mean, it's not a laughing matter, but you catch my drift. Oh, we got super chats rolling in. Man, I'm making out like a bandit tonight. Take my money, strongman. Thank you very much. You are the best pay pig a man could ask for. Thank you very much. All right. And of course, I'm prioritizing member comments because I like to do that. If you want to be a member, it's $4.99 a month and you get exclusive content. Oh my God, what a ripoff. Obviously, the Israeli market is better. It's the only market I'll buy. Israel is probably like 0.1% of VT. Why didn't you have the same energy with Trump put tariffs on China? Look, a war with China would be very bad. Very bad. Catastrophic. A war with Iran ain't in the same ballpark. It's rational. Bitcoin also outperformed, and I think it's Bitcoin's wonderful, bro. It's the future, bro. HFSP. My individual picks within that country will do far better if you just buy the good stocks, bro. Just buy the good stocks, bruh. It's easy. They should make a parking lot with Iran and make the largest Costco. Now, here's the thing. We can never invade Iran. There's too many people. We're in too much debt. And we can't occupy. There's too many freaking people. It's like, it's hard to invade a country and occupy it. I think we learned that lesson over the past 20 years with our failures in Afghanistan and Iraq. I think we figured that out. Long game 7 feud. That's right. You know, you always got to think long term. You should never panic about crap like this. There's been multiple wars. There's been multiple crises. Will this affect corporate profits in the next 20, 30, 40 years? I have my doubts that it will. It'll be a temporary blip. MAGA. Chris is so scared. You better start. Look, my job is to count people. That's basically my job in the Army. So I'm not scared. And you know what? I've been deployed before. I don't think I'd be on the front lines. And if I was, so be it. I'd be a lot more scared about a war with China. I work from home, so I won't be selected. Oh, yeah, you think that. Trust me, if I'm getting called up, y'all are getting called up. Now it's practically impossible to have a financial crisis because it will show cracks in the U.S. I'm really enjoying your second channel. It's interesting getting your insights and stories. Genuine question. I won't see you, bro. Will Meta stock crash 20% plus? I mean, probably. Most stocks do. Because of this, or I don't see how this affects Meta. Meta is an online social media platform. How are Meta's future profits going to be impacted by the Strait of Hormuz potentially getting shut down? I just don't see the bear case there. I mean, anything's possible. This could have second and third order effects, but I don't think the long run of the country or the company would be that affected. What is this? Hand sanitizer? This will go to extra spicy Chipotle burritos. Yeah, I've been eating at the dining facility a lot here. I've been trying to save money. It's $7 for lunch and it's $6 for dinner, and you get a huge meal. It's like a buffet. Israeli money donated to Callisto. Learn him a lesson. There's some people that are super paranoid about Israel. Guys, come on. It's not that serious. I said everything will be fine when Trump showed China who's daddy. He did not show China who was daddy. He backed down. You crowns claim that war is going to happen. Fabio Schilling buying far outputs on Baba clowns. It was possible, dude. If Trump had stayed with those tariffs and we kept escalating, yes, there could have been a war. That's how wars start. Pay pigs. That's right. If you sign up for membership, $4.99 a month, you're a freaking pay pig, and you're going to love it. I'm going to insult you incessantly, and you're going to pay me for it. And you also get exclusive content. You just gave him points. Hey, give me Bitcoin. I'll immediately sell it. Is Bumspank a high income? He probably bought Hood, Hims, and Palantir Leaps. Hey, I don't care how he got the money. I'm just glad he gave it to me. I think the stock market is everything, and you should 100% concentrate on that instead of this BS. Oh, trust me. People are looking at the stock market because of this. This is directly related to the stock market. If the stock market sells off 1%, people are panicking about it. And funny enough, with the whole tariffs thing, I was concerned about a war. I didn't sell a single share of stock. And so far, I've been rewarded for it. VT is my god. $15 a gallon for gas coming up. I don't think it'd be that serious. Casey, you will know, and I know. Oh, we got Dan in the comments. Strongman cleaning. I know. I'm balling tonight. This is rare. This is very rare. Strongman just made more in one stream than most of us make in 8. Well, that's not true because YouTube gets a cut. I think it's 30%. And then I got to pay tax on the remaining 70%. So it's not as much as you might think, but it's appreciated. And this is rare. It does not happen a lot. Oh, we got a gifted membership. I don't know how this works. But I guess he gifted you guys a membership somehow. Pay up all you Palantir stockholders. Strongman has kids. That's right. That's good. Got to take care of that Chipotle fund for the month. Well, I'm trying not to spend all my meals allowance, so when I come home, I got extra money for Chipotle. And those people at Chipotle are like, where is this dude? I'm concerned about him. I haven't seen him in a week. Price of gas is going up even more. Yeah, I'm going to request my job let me telework so I don't have to pay money for gas. But right now, my gas is covered by the government, at least till next Saturday. So I'm not worried about it in the short term. And I think I gassed up before I put my car in the airport parking lot. I think I did. So I think I'm good for a while. Cover Stain's video for tomorrow. He talked about investing in pro-war stock. Should be fun. Jaleel status. Yeah, for the members, I'm going to do a member video probably tomorrow. You know, I could keep covering Sane, but if you guys have any suggestions, drop them in the comments of the member videos. I'll see them better. And, you know, I'll react to anything as long as it's not 40 freaking minutes. I want to join the military now. Yeah. Raise your right hand, bro. Don't forget to become, that's right. Sign up for the membership. I'm going maximum grift now. All these other scammers get millions of dollars. I get nothing. Nothing. Thank you for answering. You cheap clowns waited for me to donate a membership. You don't realize the max value unless you pay. The value is immense. See, I'm ignoring everybody's comments except Dan's and members. Okay? If you're a YouTuber, sure, I'll answer your comments, or if I know you, but if I don't know you in person, you got to be a member. Hey, Strong Dog, does your per diem roll over? Yeah, it's 68 a day. So if you don't use it, you still get 68. Honestly, the reason the government does that is because it's too much paperwork. Like, if you had to track every receipt that somebody spent, I used to work and travel in the government. That's a lot of work. So the government just said, we're just going to pay you a flat amount, and that's what you get. And it's pretty, I'm not complaining about it. All right. Well, I think that's it. I think I'm going to spend the rest of the night listening to YouTube videos and playing Skyrim. I appreciate all the super chats from Bum Spanka, Major Minor, Why So Lube, and of course the gifted membership. I appreciate all my members. I will respond to all your comments. You are kings. All right, we got a couple more member comments, and then we'll cut this off. That's right. And he makes fun of all of us like a dominatrix. Give me. You been down to Dan Bussy, make them pay. It's okay. I mean, I'm not part of any of their memberships, so I mean, I don't expect them to give me memberships. That's exactly right. Gil, I provide value. Look, we need to do the debate. And it's got to be on my channel because I want to farm cash. Okay? That's how it goes. Okay? So the offer's out there. I mean, you can do it on Dan's channel, whatever. But if you guys want to come on my channel so I can farm super chats, then you guys are more than welcome to debate on my channel. I'll sponsor video. I'll cover your game. I will. If you actually made a game, I'll cover it. I'll probably buy it unless it's like $100. Dan, brother, I will destroy you if we had a trading or investing. Oh, it's getting serious here. Gil's my favorite schizo. I'm going to be the only one to win versus Strongman. Dan, want to make a public? Yes. Please. I'll yell at Gil for Chris to profit from. Of course. It's all about my profits at the end of the day. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Shout out to the members. Sign up for the membership if you want responses to comments. That's how it's going to be going forward. I am farming money as much as I possibly can because I've earned it. I've tried to save you clowns from stock degeneracy, and it's about time I got paid for it. Have a great war-free night.